Hello everyone, this is Sarah Galetti. I'm part of the Youth Services class. I would like to thank my classmates Alyssa and Sarah for telling me about Screencastify because I was losing my mind about figuring out how to do this. And it's funny because Alyssa and Sarah, my name is Sarah and I have a twin sister named Alyssa, so I thought it was funny that these two students happen to share the same names as me as my twin. So what I did was I took some photos at Hagaman Library. I live in East Haven, Connecticut. I decided to just collaborate on the space and see what's going on there because I worked there for about 5 years and I recently actually just went back to help out because an old coworker of mine became the director of the library. So I left Brantford Library and began working back in East Haven. Now it's been a while since I've done this, so let me see. Okay, so upon arrival, what one will see, whether it's teens, children, adults, they have a sign on the table that has rules for entering the teen room, but it's not very visible. You have to walk over to the table and read the sign. What I think should be done is have a bigger sign or put it somewhere where someone can see it because you can easily walk by a table and not see these rules. So I will read the rules. It basically says, welcome to our teen room. If you need a place to relax after school, finish homework, complete group projects, and hang out with your friends, this room is for you. In bold and underlined, meaning it is for teens. Please be respectful of adults in the library and try to keep your voices low. They say this because this is not really a closed space. The space that's offered to the teens at Hagaman is separate, but it is not completely closed off, so anyone can hear them. People can walk in. It's not really a private space. As for adults, you have to remember this is a teen area. If you need a quiet space to work, please ask a librarian for assistance. So the teen librarian's not always in that space. In fact, she doesn't even have a space in there. She's completely located on the bottom floor in technical services, which I think is not the greatest thing. I think the teen librarian should be included within the space if they need access, but they would just have to go downstairs and ask for her help or see if she can assist with anything. If she's not available, the teens can go to the circulation desk in the adult services section to ask them some questions if the teen librarian is not in. So towards the back of the library, and since I worked here, I always loved the mural that they had painted on the fireplace mantle. There's two different rooms with these mantles and fireplace murals, but this one in particular is very beautiful. It actually looks like it was redone recently. It's been a while since I've been there. But the teens created these frames, and each frame has letters that are cut out on patterned paper, and they backed them on black paper and framed them. And you can see it when you walk into the room, even though it's really far back. You can tell and know that it is a teen room just by seeing the signs that they've hung up on the mantle, which is very eye-catching, especially below the mural. I think that's a good place to put the teen room sign they want. As well, the books in the stacks, all the bookshelves are out on the wall. From wall to wall, they have these bookshelves. They're dated, they're old, but they offer a lot of shelving space on top. So when my director was the teen librarian, she made the t-shirt, the personalized t-shirt with the red panda. I can't really see what it says, but below this t-shirt that they have framed, it advertises like the time the teen advisory group happens at the library. And there's also up and coming events of a bulletin board right next to it. I believe it's easy to see the events on top of the bookshelf. It probably won't help if you're hard of seeing or if you're short in general. I think it should be more at eye level, but due to the limited amount of space and even tables, yes, there's a lot of tables, but it would just take up too much space. So for better space and not to overcrowd, I think it was the best thing to do to put it on top of one of these bookcases. And this table right here was here when I was working here a couple years ago, and now I'm back, but they have this huge mandala coloring page, and it was done when I was working there, so it's a little faded. They never replaced it, but I think the teams just liked how it decorated the table, and they wrote their own inspirational quotes inside of it. So I think that's very nice. The new two additions that I've seen was the Scrabble game board. I personally never got into Scrabble. It confuses me. So I think it's nice that they have that. I'm sure they have other board games, but that was what was out on the table. And another new one was What Should I Read Next? I personally didn't have time to look through it, but that's also a new addition that I've never seen before. I think it's nice to have a reading binder of suggestions to see what's similar to, say, Winter Girls. That's the first thing that came to my mind. I read that for summer reading before I went to middle school, I believe. But if they, it brought, it brings the ideas to where I work too. Not only at Hagaman again, but the elementary school. We were thinking of doing a What Should I Read Next binder. I think it's a good idea because it exposes teens to more books to read and it exposes them more to how to connect maybe with other teenagers that have read similar books. It's like a conversation piece that they can open up to. And this I thought was really cool. This was new before I left and now I came back. I'm wondering if it was the same teen that was there when I started and before I left. She was a couple years younger than me, so she's not a teen anymore. But she used to be a really good artist. She would make these signs for the library space, for the teen space. I'm going to assume it was her. She must have drawn and colored it in this sign, but around it, it looks like it's a bunch of new titles coming out. So this can be seen walking into the space, or even if you're standing in the middle of the library before you enter the space, you see it off to the right, and that's where the new books are. And I think it's a good idea for the teens to collaborate on titles that they're excited in, and to add it to this framed piece, and even to include their own artwork. It shows ownership of the space and that they're free to express themselves. So that I actually like a lot. And this is another one. A little messy, but the anime collection, when I left and now I came back, is still very popular. I saw they expanded on their manga collection. I saw they weeded out some of their manga collection, which makes me sad, but if it doesn't circulate, it doesn't circulate. The poster actually I brought in when I worked there at the time, and they laminated it to show, I think just to show that this is an anime, and it's a really cool poster to put up. And then the same teen who made the previous sign also made the teen anime collection sign. She was very artistic. She was a really nice girl. I still don't know if she makes the artwork there. New teens there now. But the anime and manga collection has always been very popular. This is like the biggest collection of anime we have right now. I hope they add on to it. But again, it has to do with space. Not a lot of space in there. They actually do have more anime in the adult section, but again, it's not YA friendly. It could be, but it's mostly rated for adults, but it's very rare. So if anyone's looking for any type of anime, all types of anime, they would have to go in the teen room. And I think that's something teens can be proud of, to own the anime collection, because I love anime. And it seems to be something that adults don't seem to really appreciate as much as teens do. I'm glad I got into it when I was a teenager. So to have this sense of ownership over like the coolest animated series of any type of anime in your space, I think is a big thing. Even with the manga, I'm a huge manga reader, and I think it's just fantastic that they have this in their space. I wonder if that's it. I don't recall this being it, but it must be. So overall, the teen space, when I went there are a bunch of tables, mostly wooden tables, wooden chairs, and only like 2 red armchairs. I did not take photos of those. I apologize. But I think the space needs to be cleaned up. The collection needs to be straightened up. Books were falling over. I am back at work there, so when I have the time, I'm going to straighten things up. If I can, I would make recommendations. Again, the budget at our library is very limited. When I worked at Brantford, it was actually, Brantford got most of the money. They got everything. Beautiful library. But when I came back to Hagaman, I had the intent of making it better. I'll even think about writing a letter to the mayor because when I worked at Brantford, it was something I wish my home library can have is the money, the furniture, the budget, the support that Brantford Town had. So the best I can do right now while I'm working back at Hagaman is to just make it nicer, straighten it up, and take my experience from Brantford back over to East Haven. It's the best I can do for now, but I would love to see the teen space and all the spaces in general at Hagman become bigger and better over time while I'm still here and back at Hagman. I thank everyone for watching my presentation. I'm very awkward when it comes to this stuff, but I tried my best. I wish I had more photos to offer, but I did rush in. I was in a bit of a hurry. And again, I would like to thank my fellow students, Alyssa and Sarah, for telling me about Screencastify. I think it's so much easier than Zoom.